Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, people want your money. It's about consumer protection, but first, cold weather and tighter energy supplies, as they say. Let's get to it.
Welcome to the fast-paced and unrehearsed weekly discussion featuring the leaders who help shape your world. Join us as we address the issues that impact you each and every day. This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Well, we have a bunch of topics we're going to talk about, and they literally relate to all of us. These are not obscure. These are not topics that, maybe you'll have an interest in. They relate directly to us. Joining me first is Terry Fitzpatrick. He's the president and CEO of the Energy Association of Pennsylvania. I know, given all the 70-degree weather, we got to wonder if cold weather is going to be here, but it is coming. And that brings about some concerns about energy supplies, correct?
Yes, especially this year, Terry, especially this year. We've been very blessed in the Commonwealth and really in the country with abundant energy supplies for over a decade. And really, a lot of that has to do with the development of the gas supplies from Marcellus Shale. We have had historic low prices for a very prolonged period. This year, for a number of reasons, the markets are tighter, supplies are tighter, prices have gone up. So you could see heating bills, if you heat with natural gas, maybe as much as 20% higher this winter because of those tight supplies. But it's just the market working. There are a variety of factors driving it.
You know, in the past, we used to talk about nuclear energy. And, it was a very important aspect to, energy supplies. We don't hear much about it anymore.
Still an issue. It's still an issue. I think there was a lot of news about it when TMI was considering closing. And then after that happened, it sort of dropped off the radar. But that issue is still there, Terry. And a lot of those nuclear plants are struggling to make enough money. I think it'd be a shame if they closed, but coming up with a solution is complicated and politically tough. So, that issue is still there.
Well, the argument for them is no carbon emissions. Am I correct about that?
Correct. Plus, they unlike intermittent renewables, which also have no carbon emissions, nuclear is available 24/7, 365 for the most part. I mean, you do have some outages which they have to refuel, but it's very, very reliable. It still generates, I think, about 20% of our electricity in the region, so it's very important.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about what is causing the tight energy supplies and the higher prices. By the way, we don't have to go very far to talk about energy prices. You go in and get your car filled up with gas. You immediately see the price of gasoline. But what are some of the factors causing it?
Yeah, and some of this dynamics driving the rise in the price of gasoline is the same thing that's going to drive rises in the price of natural gas and electricity. I think the first thing is we're coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
To some extent. We're still kind of in it, but the economy has picked up a lot. So, demand for energy was way down last year. This year, it's up again. So that's caused some tighter supplies. The weather in the summer was hot. That meant a lot of natural gas was used generating electricity to run those air conditioners. Not as much natural gas went into storage. That's contributing to tighter supplies. And another thing is we're exporting more natural gas now than we used to. Europe and Asia and China are also facing problems and tight supplies. So all of those things are converging. Plus, there hasn't been an increase in drilling for gas lately. Because those low prices over many years really didn't provide an incentive to drill new wells.
Sure. So what's the relationship between wind production and increased demand for gas?
Well, in Europe, they're finding that because of the weather, there hasn't been as much wind production as they would have counted on. So what's going to take up, the place that wind was going to occupy? Well, you fall back on things like natural gas. And I think that makes a broader point. There's a debate now about how do we combat climate change? Are we going to rely mostly on renewables? Well, if you rely on renewables, you really have to have backup for that because you don't know what the weather conditions are going to be. There is some battery storage, but that isn't a perfect substitution for something like gas because batteries you can only run something for a couple of days off batteries.
All right, we're going to run to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the wholesale price of gas is going to affect more than just pulling up to the pump and getting your car filled. It involves a bunch of other things, gas, electric. I want you to talk about that,
Sure.
and we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
I'm chatting with Terry Fitzpatrick. He's the president and CEO of the Energy Association of Pennsylvania. We're trying to cover a whole bunch of things that affect all of us directly, energy. And one aspect of it is the wholesale price of gas affects more than just, as I said before the break, driving up to the pump, filling up your gasoline, filling up your tank and getting out of Dodge, so to speak. It also affects other kinds of utility bills. Explain that.
Yeah, well, a lot of the dynamics that are driving rises in the price of gasoline are also driving prices of natural gas, which is used for a number of things. It's very important. Over half the homes in the state heat with natural gas. It's a big fuel for industrial processes, and it's also an important fuel for generating electricity. I think about 30-some% of our electricity is fueled by natural gas-fired power plants. So if the price of
not to interrupt you, but I don't know that we think about that percentage.
Yes, it's gone up. It has been. It's right around there with coal as being still the largest source of electric generation in the state, depending what the price of the fuels are.
Sure.
Over time, of course, coal seems to be on the decline. Some people say it's going away completely. But when the price of natural gas goes up, that means the price of your home heating bill goes up if you heat with natural gas, right. But it also means the price of your electricity goes up because natural gas is an important fuel used to generate electricity.
Yeah. You've also talked about how customers can minimize their bills by using energy wisely.
Yes.
So how do they do that?
Well, you can
turn the thermostat down when you go to bed.
Well, that's one thing, Terry. There's a lot of places you can get good tips on that. Your utilities will have a lot of good energy efficiency tips, and you may be able to take advantage of programs they have to do an energy audit of your house, for example, to trade in an old refrigerator for a newer one, which is more energy efficient.
Sure.
But getting your furnace serviced regularly is a very important one. But there's a whole lot of good energy efficiency tips out there.
Yeah. The other aspect of it is that customers, as you argue, should shop around, try to find, make sure they understand the billing, and in addition, shop around to find a source of energy that, right. Number one, is affordable, and number two, provides them with the appropriate service.
Right. Let's talk about the basics there, Terry. Your energy supplies, either electricity or natural gas, you can buy them from your utility. If you do, you're getting a reasonably stable priced product, and the utilities go out into the market, wholesale markets, and buy that for you. Mm-hmm. They buy it in a way where they stagger their purchases over time. So we're talking about wholesale prices of gas going up.
Right.
You won't see that full increase in your bill because the utilities don't buy it all at one time in order to try to keep the swings down and keep it more stable. But if you want to go out into the market, you can do that too. You can go into the retail market and find a competitive supplier to buy electricity or gas. But that's what you are getting at. If you do that, pay attention to the details there, because you might be able to save some money. But if you're not attentive and say you take what's very often offered to customers now, a 3-month teaser product, you have to ask yourself, at the end of that 3 months, am I going to switch again? Because if I get put into some kind of a default program that the suppliers have, it may be subjecting you to sudden swings in the market, and you don't want that. So you really need to be on top of it if you're going to shop around.
That's not easy to do for the average consumer in many respects, because it's complicated.
Some people do it. They're into that kind of thing. For me, I know myself. I mean, and I tend to go on autopilot.
That's your business.
That's right. That's right. But you need to be a careful consumer if you're going to do that.
All right, we're pretty much out of time, and I'll make this point for the future. We'll have you back on it. We got to talk about the natural gas pipelines and where all that goes. I think most of our audience knows about the Attorney General and what's going on there, and the concern about pipelines, which is big news. Correct?
Correct. And there's been a cancellation of the Penn East pipeline. That's been big in the news as well. Really raises questions about where we're going with our energy sources in the future.
That's very important. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about People Want Your Money. It's about consumer protection, and we'll take that up after the break.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by CrossState Credit Union Association. Credit unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, go to ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
Well, we're going to talk about consumer protection. People want your money, not just over the holidays, but maybe they get into that a little more. Joining me to discuss that is Ed Williams, the CEO of the Discovery Federal Credit Union, and Nicola Foggie. She is the Chief Regulatory Officer of CrossState Credit Union Association. I think I got all that correct.
You did.
Hey, look, it's always great to have you. And
it's great
obviously, we've got consumer scams. I mean, they're nonstop. But around the holidays, they probably pick up. So let me start with you, Ed. Let's go through some of the consumer protection aspects that you think the folks need to be aware of and what they can do to protect themselves.
Yeah, one of the suggestions is that if it sounds too good to be true, it pretty much is too good to be true. So you have to be a little bit aware yourself as well, too. But then there's always help from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the Attorney General's Office Consumer Financial Protection area as well, too, where you can get help if you suspect or if you have been scammed as well, too.
You know, that's pretty important because a lot of people don't know where to go, right?
Right, and so one of the places you can turn is your credit union.
Yeah.
And I know that the credit union is ready and willing to help you, and certainly your financial institution in general if you need guidance in order to either recover yourself if you've been defrauded or you want more information.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to stay with you. Internet merchandise scams are very popular.
Yes, they are. You know,
what are they, and what? How
First
do people
of all,
recognize?
internet scams are when folks typically shopping online, and we know we've all been locked down, under the COVID pandemic, and folks have perhaps been using their credit cards online, shopping a little more often, and so you might get a link that pops up to you, and it seems like a real good deal. And you make your purchase and use your credit card information, maybe your personal information, your address. And so they have your personal information, your merchandise doesn't arrive, and you find out it was a fraud.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I got this week an email from, it had two or three letters in it and saying, you're a member, you have to renew your membership. I had no clue who they were.
Yeah.
So they had my email, so I could at least reply, because they could always, email me. And I said, please stop sending me these notices. I am not a member and don't want to be. I didn't hear back from them.
Yeah, sometimes it's just best just to ignore those and delete those emails as well, too. But the one thing you never want to do is click on any hyperlink that's in there.
That's
because
right.
Oh, I didn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Good.
All right, I'm going to stay with you. Let's talk about phishing and spoofing.
Yeah, phishing is just what we're talking about, where they will send an email and they will try to get you to click on a link within that email and leading you down a path where either they can put some malware on your computer Or worse than that, they could put some ransomware on your computer where it locks your computer completely down, and you now need to pay a ransom in order to unlock your PC.
Oh my. And the other thing is, if they get access to some of this, then they can pretend they're you and go get money.
Correct.
Am I correct about that?
Yes, you are. You're
Yeah,
very
identity
correct.
theft is absolutely part of the scam process. Because one of the things scammers want to do is get your personal information so they can perpetuate the scam and certainly either use it to gain credit or else to, certainly access your bank accounts or your money.
Sure. Well, I'll stay with you. It's the old game. If it's free, be even more aware
exactly right.
than if they're trying to sell you something. Go ahead.
That's exactly right. Buyer beware. If they say it's free, it probably isn't. My mother used to tell me there's no free lunch. So, you want to make sure that you do your due diligence. And if something's being offered to you, especially through, an email, a text, check it out.
Fake prizes, sweepstakes. There's a whole variety of them, right?
There really is. And so you get a letter that says, hey, you were a sweepstake winner. You're the next lottery winner. But there is a fee to it. Send us, $500,000 and we'll send you $3 million, to get you your money. So you have to be aware of those lotteries scams, those sweepstakes scams.
Yeah. All right, we're going to run to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about fake check scams. We're going through all of these. We'll be back in a moment.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine.
Imagine this. Someone sends you a check. You've never met the person. You have no clue who that person is. It's called fake check scams, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we've seen that quite a bit in our credit union. In fact, just the other day, we had a $45,000 check that was deposited into a member's account that luckily one of our tellers put a longer hold on it than normal, and that check bounced back. So we were able to save the member $45,000.
Well, what do they get by sending you the check? Do they ask you for money then?
No, they actually ask you pretty much all the time. They ask for something else negotiable. They don't ask you for a check back, but they ask you for gift cards or some sort of go to Starbucks and get Starbucks cards and send them back, or Target gift cards as well too. So they don't ask for money back, but they ask for those gift cards because they're negotiable right away.
I can't even understand why someone would do this if they don't know who they are.
Again,
I mean,
if it's
they're
too
going to
good to
give
be
you
true.
something for free. That makes no sense at all.
It's too good to be
me.
true. It most likely
I love
is.
that. I love that. All right, how about this? This is one romance scams, sweethearts, swindles. I'm reading it right from the page here. What's that? What's the setup for that one?
The setup for that is that unfortunately there's a lot of lonely people out there, a lot of people during COVID that have not been able to go out and meet people, and the scammers will prey on these individuals. These usually take a longer period of time where they establish an online relationship with somebody, convince them that they're the one for them, and then start asking them to send them money, either through a fake check coming in or through other means as well too. It is
You want to add something to that?
I was going to say, I'll just add, Ed, they're the patient fraudsters.
Yes, they are.
And they've typically done it before. And so one of their goals at times is to actually get your trust so that they can then ask a favor. Hey, can you send me money so I can come visit you? Or, hey, my car broke down, I'm a little short. So
you got to watch about online dating websites.
Oh, absolutely. Go to the legitimate ones. The ones that are advertising on TV are typically the legitimate ones, but just finding somebody on Facebook, that's not a good idea.
Oh, wow. All right, there's another one called Family Friend Imposter.
Yes.
Somebody calls you and says you know a friend.
That's right.
Explain that. What's that about?
So here's the setup. You get a call, maybe startled in the middle of the night, and they say they're a law enforcement officer from another state, and they have your loved one there, maybe your son, maybe a nephew or a niece, someone that you may not know their exact movements, but they are a close family member, and they say, they need bail. So in order to for them to post bail, we need your credit card number, we need you to wire money, something along those lines. Of course, this is an emotional scam. So folks want to help out their loved ones. So what we recommend is that you hang up the phone, get in whatever information you can from the person, but hang up the phone and call whomever is closest to that family member to see what the legitimacy of that person's whereabouts.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
All right, before, I don't know if we're going to have time to get through too many more, but here, I think this is really important. What do you do if you encounter a scam? In general, what do you do?
If you encounter a scam, if you've been scammed, number one, you need to contact your financial institution, your credit union. Let them know that you think you've been scammed. The credit union will work with you in order to try to retrieve your money. Unfortunately, a lot of times we can't retrieve your money. You should also contact the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the State Attorney General's Consumer Financial Protection area as well too, to see what help are available to them. But reporting these is most important.
I'll tell you, when I had this scam this week, I was going to put in my email return, by the way, I'm sending this to the Attorney General of the state of Pennsylvania, and just to see how they would respond to that. But it's very hard to catch them. That's what I clearly understand.
A lot of these actors are overseas as well too, and coming from overseas areas. Unfortunately, they're going to be the tough ones to catch.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about this. All right, let's talk about, and here we are, we're in the computer age. I don't know which one of you want to deal with this. Computer equipment and software. Boy, given the computer age that we lived in, that's pretty easy to do and pretty difficult to manage.
And especially at a time when many folks across the country are working from home and perhaps not as computer literate as some folks, and they're used to just picking up the phone, calling their IT department if they have an email or glitch or scam. But all of a sudden, a message pops up on your computer and it seems really legitimate, and it's telling you that you've done X, Y, Z, and you need to click here in order to fix the problem. Well, we recommend do not click any links. Lots of times it may be a fraud. Go ahead and reach out to whoever your IT folks are. Call them, whatever you need to do. You can even at times forward the email, but whatever you do, do not click on any links.
Yeah.
So beware.
Well, we're almost out of time, but what can consumers do to protect themselves?
Constant state of awareness that there are bad people out there that are trying to get your information and ultimately trying to get your money. Again, be aware of all of these things. As Nicola had said before, specifically do not click on any links embedded in any emails, in any messages that come across your computer. And if you would get a phone call about a family member, it's best to hang up and call that family member.
Well, look, I want to thank you. I think this is extremely important for the folks out there, for all of us. All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, stay well.